On October 19th, 1924, a momentous event took place in the history of Islam in the West, as the foundation stone of the Fazl Mosque in London was laid by Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmood Ahmad, the second Caliph of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community. Today, 100 years later, the community gathered to mark the centenary of this significant event, with a keynote address delivered by His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, at a grand reception. As part of the centenary celebration, guests had the opportunity to view a special exhibition titled Islamic Light in the West. The exhibition highlighted the historic 1924 visit of the second Caliph of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community to the UK, marking the first time a Caliph had ever set foot on British soil, a landmark moment in the spread of Islam in the West. Numerous dignitaries were in attendance at the event, including representatives from various countries, faith leaders, and community officials, all gathered to commemorate the spiritual significance of this centenary, acknowledging the role the Fazl Mosque has played over the past century in promoting peace, unity, and interfaith dialogue in the UK. During the keynote address, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, spoke of the profound significance of the Fazl Mosque.
Today, with profound gratitude to Allah the Almighty in our hearts, we are holding this reception to mark and celebrate the centenary of the foundation stone laid at the Fazl Mosque in London. A mosque is a spiritual sanctuary where individuals congregate to worship Allah the Almighty 5 times a day, to foster spiritual growth and moral development. Today, we live in an age of rampant materialism, where money and power reign supreme. Increasingly, people are turning away from God Almighty, rejecting His very existence and forsaking moral values. At such a time, the light and value of a mosque shines even brighter for a religious person who believes in God and who trembles at the mere thought of moving away from Him.
His Holiness went on to reflect on the purpose of mosques and the critical role that service to humanity plays in Islam.
In our view, Islam stands distinct in its unshakable conviction in the belief of the oneness of God Almighty. Indeed, the Holy Quran proclaims that the very purpose of mankind's creation is to worship God. Here, the concept or meaning of worship should not be misunderstood as being limited only to the formal worship of God. Certainly, it is a fundamental obligation upon Muslims to fulfill the rights of Allah by congregating in mosques and offering the 5 daily prayers. However, the Holy Quran explicitly states that a person's supplications shall be rendered meaningless and be rejected if they neglect their responsibilities towards their fellow human beings. Thus, the prayers and prostrations of every single Muslim are inextricably linked with their treatment of God's creation.
In closing, His Holiness prayed for unity and harmony among all people.
It is my heartfelt prayer that may the love of God Almighty and His creation enter the hearts of all mankind. Certainly, it was to achieve this objective that the Fazl Mosque was constructed, and it is for the sake of reiterating this message and recognizing the immense blessing of God Almighty that we have held this event today. May Allah the Almighty enable all of us, irrespective of our faith or beliefs, to play our respective roles in the creation of a society where people of all religions, ethnicities, and backgrounds live harmoniously and manifest grace and love to one another.
At the end, His Holiness led all in a silent prayer, thus concluding the formal proceedings. Following the event, guests and dignitaries shared their reflections at the significance of the Fazl Mosque centenary.
A hugely significant event, and I was very grateful to be invited. Often when I join with the Ahmadiyya community, it's in the Jalsa Salana or it's one of the peace symposiums, and they're great. This is in many ways even more special to commemorate 100 years of community being here in Southfields in southwest London. And in my brief remarks to the meeting, I was saying how fortunate we are that the Ahmadiyya community is here in southwest London, and the role they play, the contribution they make to London, to Britain, as well as the rest of the world is immense. So it was a really great event, and of course His Holiness always inspires, but today with all the problems we know in the world, all the conflict and the killing, his message of peace was never more appropriate and never more resonating, and we just hope other world leaders listen to him and take note of his remarks. We do need to come together as a world.
Very uplifting and wonderful to think that this mosque was created 100 years ago, and but I think that there wasn't anything probably built here in surrounding it, and Southfields was probably Southfields because it was fields, and so it's wonderful to think that this whole community is built up with the community of London, and it's now an important urban centre, and I think I always find it a great pleasure to come and partake of some of your learnings and teaching and get inspiration from the Ahmadiyya community, and I am just astonished at the amount of good work and work you do, not just in the community here but throughout the world.
Oh, it's been an absolutely wonderful evening. It couldn't have been a real celebration of 100 years. I'm so proud to be the MP for the Fazl Mosque and for Southfields. And in Southfields, we love this mosque. The whole community has been here. So many neighbours and friends as well of the mosque. So many supporters of the Ahmadiyya community, because having been here for 100 years, we've melded together as a community. I've been to so many events, celebrations, walks for peace, planting trees, all sorts of things that we just do together here. And today has been a kind of a real celebration of that fact, of that we can be a community building peace here in our local community, which really echoed the words of His Holiness, who spoke so powerfully about the need for peace and unity now more than ever.
After 100 years, the Fazl Mosque continues to stand as a symbol of faith, unity and peace, inspiring generations and building bridges between communities. The centenary event is not only a celebration of the past, but a call to continue fostering understanding and love for all in the years to come.